Just give your neighbor a smile, tell them what a wonderful morning. History is being made. It's just begun. I think in the history of our company, is the first time that we have had a lady CEO stand before us. Why don't you just clap? It's my pleasure this morning again to stand before this wonderful and auspicious team and investors and partners to share with us how our company is doing. We continue to express a dream and a promise to all of us as members and owners of this company. Being with the lady, she didn't want to look at the red numbers, so I've been given the opportunity to share the red numbers on top. But it's quite a wonderful story. The story of KenGen still remains the story of growth, still remains the story of profitability. And what this tells us is that the revenue was slightly behind our plan, and there is a reason why we are here where we are today. The main reason why revenue is down by 8% are mainly two reasons. Number one is arrears on steam revenue, which we received in 2016, but which this year we didn't receive because it was arrears. And also, last year, we did mention that we were focusing on alternative business under KenGen C, and we continue to drive that promise. But unfortunately, in the year, we were short by around 1.5 billion of other revenue from drilling. And this is mainly because some of the customers that we are targeting to drive our drilling business face certain challenges. But we believe that that will improve as we move on. Number two, Chair, and all investors that are present, is about the operating profit, which drops slightly, and those are driven mainly by those reasons. But looking at the bottom line, profit before tax is 2% up. That driven mainly by growth in capacity, and also profit after tax because of the some gains that we got as a result of investment allowance. I will now take us to some of the details. Revenue, as I've mentioned, revenue dropped. Last year we had 38.6 billion, but this year we have 35.4 billion. And that drop is mainly two numbers. 1.6 billion because of steam arrears last year, and 1.5 billion other revenue which was coming from drilling. That comes around 3.1 billion that we were not able to get because we had some contract, for example, for the drilling, but it could not be realized just because there were some difficulties that the customer and the target market was facing. But we believe that once that's sorted out, and Madam Rebecca will be coming later to expound, we still believe that other business will continue to grow, and we are focusing ourselves on that. In terms of how does our business model work? Now, our business model works in terms of what additional capacity we put. We are actually a project company that builds power plants and leases them out. So if we don't put a new power plant, we don't get a lot of growth in our revenue. But there's side of it, which is what we call the energy, the units that are kilowatt hours that are sold here. And that is affected a bit by environmental issues that Madam Rebecca has talked about. So in this presentation, you can see two items here. One is the capacity revenue. And the capacity revenue, sorry, I can't see very well, but I can see from I hope you can see. The capacity revenue grew marginally by 2%. And that means that we are still able to run our plants and meet our load factors and our capacity commitments, because we have thresholds that we must avail our plants, our availability factors to avail the plants. Now, the growth that you're seeing is because we're able to put 10 megawatts maintain those power plants at operational level and meet our availability factors. Now, on the other side, you are seeing the energy revenue. Now, the energy revenue is the unit sales, what we are able to dispatch from our power plants. And that is a function of two numbers, two big numbers. Number one is our load factors, which is the units that comes from our existing power plants, and any additional. Now, that number suffered a bit because of two reasons. The energy revenue suffered, one, because there was a bit of hydrology challenges in the Eastern Cascade. We all know that Masinga area, going all the way to Gitaru, the Seven Forks, there has been major drought. And when that drought hit us, it kind of curtailed what we could dispatch out of the hydro power plant. But we also had another problem that came at the same time. And this was a bit of transmission challenges out of Olkaria. So even though at that time, investors, we had ability to dispatch power out of Olkaria, we were not able, particularly at the early part of the year, to dispatch that power plant. So we are constrained, and as we've said, some 173 million we could not get. But the good news is the Olkaria Suswa line going all the way to Mombasa is now operational, is functional. It came online, albeit towards the tail end of the year, and therefore we are now able to dispatch. So that contributed to the decline. And you can see that on the bottom line, hydro decreased from 1.5 revenue, energy revenue from hydro decreased from 1.5 billion to 1 billion. Geothermal did not increase as much, just also was almost flat, 5.1 to 5.17. But you can see something that happened in the gray area, and that is the thermal. So quickly, our KPEV plant had to kick in, and a bit of enhanced dispatch came from thermal plants, which helped to mitigate the challenge. And also, you can see that the revenue from wind increased. So the Ngong wind was also able to help us mitigate that. But as I've said, the good story going forward is that the transmission and distribution line is now fine. So we do expect that our dispatch out of Olkaria will be. And again, when the rains improve towards the end of the year, all those factors are positive to add to our growth going forward. We are also now aware that the drilling that we were expecting, some of our customers, the customer that we had targeted at that time, has also made some progress in terms with their own investors, and therefore we'll be able to revisit that area and improve our business. This is just a breakdown of really, if you look at operating profit, 2016 we started at 16.2, we closed at 13.7, and we are explaining the hydrology and evacuation issues. Steam revenue arrears affected us. Commercial drilling also affected us. The reds are what brought us down. The green took us up a bit. We had other income that helped. Then, of course, also we have to prepare ourselves in terms of growth. As we put in capacity, we must plan for the staffing and all the other development costs that are required to put that in place. So that took a bit of money. There was some provision there, doubtful provision. Particularly, I must be honest that was related again to the drilling revenue that we're expecting. That became a bit more, we had to make provision for prudence purposes on it. And then some of our plants became fully depreciated. We also decommissioned Garissa, Lamu, and that was reduced the depreciation. So that's more positive. So all in all, we ended at 13.7 billion from 16.2. Some of the positives: interest income, and this basically treasury management of the rights issue cash. We did receive rights issue cash and targeted to help us in implementing some of our geothermal projects. Our contribution towards Olkaria 5, our contribution towards Olkaria 1 Unit 6, and a bit of finishing up on the wellheads. And because there was a bit of a timing beginning delay, so we have had to treasury manage that, and that helps in terms of helping with the interest income as we invest that funding. Effective tax rate again dropped a bit because of the implementation of the wellhead units that we did, and we benefit from investment allowance. So, and in terms of earnings per share, there's a growth from 1.37 to 1.43 for the year. Cash, this is really in terms of cash where we are. We sit close with cash, and as you're aware, we did obtain slightly above 8 billion from the rights issue, and at the end of the year, we are still managing that, as I've mentioned. But subsequent, we know that now Olkaria 5 has the groundbreaking took place and works are ongoing. There's great activity. We are very positive. We want to thank all our financiers, and they're in the room here. I think the people who make me feel very nice. I think it's good just to ask all our financiers to stand up. All our financiers, bankers, and development financial institution, AFD, JICA. We had the world. So all, I think things will not happen if we don't have this team here. They are the silent supporters behind the scene that puts the dollar when we need it. A very big thank you to all of you. Thank you so much. So our colleagues from JICA, they are funding Olkaria 5. They have given us 376 billion yen. Also Olkaria 1 Unit 6, they gave us the pledge. So Olkaria 1 Unit 6 additional 70 megawatts is going on, and it's just awesome. Jenga and Madam, just all the things you're doing. AFD of France are committed themselves to the Meru wind. I must say our project is very challenging. Arthur Honore and the team, together with KFW, have money ready. They're asking me, John, when do you take it? But we're still dealing with some issues locally here as Kenyans, which is delaying that. So thank you so much, Arthur and the team. EIB, KFW, World Bank are giving us some offers also to support us reduce cost of funding. And I can, if I mention your name, you know what you're doing is wonderful. And all our local banks that are supporting us in a very, very mighty way. So we have this money here that we've been managing, and this is going towards these projects. Olkaria 5 is started, Olkaria 1 Unit 6 is going on, Olkaria 1 rehabilitation is ongoing, and everything else is on track, and that is the big story. When you come to invest in KenGen, think about the growth. Think about the story. Where are we going and where are we coming from? Where are we today? Are we coming? You will not see a big jump on revenue. I think when you look at it, say how it move, it will be going in a stepwise, because once we put a plant, we sign a PPA with Kenya Power Lighting. It's agreed with ERC. We construct it. 3 years, the honey starts dropping. That's our balance sheet. And as you can see, PPE, not much happened because we are just in the process of the plants. It's a bit of capital work in progress on what we've started. So total assets grew from 367 billion to 377, 3% up, but that will move a bit. And then equity and liabilities, again, as a result of the rights issue that we did, that's where we are in terms of a balance sheet. It's a strong balance sheet. We met all our covenants with financials, and we are very, very happy that we maintain this company and steer it in a very strong and solid company. You can see this balance sheet is not, is quite a good balance sheet. And this is our debt profile. It's a bit of a busy slide, but if you can see it, it tells the whole story. The first Gross debt by source of funding, what you can see is that 78% of our debt has to do with government, either as on-lent or as guaranteed. So we want again to thank very profoundly our wonderful government of Kenya that continues to support this business. Without them, again, we would not be where we are today. I think we really owe it to the government. Let's give our government a hand. So my director here from Treasury, he really does a lot. So thank you so much. So that's the mix. So from an investor point of view, where is your risk? 78% has the government of Kenya behind it, either as on-lent as guaranteed. So when you're doing all your numbers, please don't look at it and just say, oh, your debt equity ratio is like this, your debt service coverage ratio. Know that our very sovereign government stands behind us very solidly. Debt maturity profile, again, you can see. Last year we had 32 billion in 2015, and because of the swap that we did, the debt equity swap, the conversion of debt equity, that has reduced. So our terms of moving forward, we have a bit of headroom to grow our business, to take more debt, because our maturity profile is quite down compared to what it was. And our weighted average maturity is now 13.8 years, and weighted average cost of debt is 3.36. That's really, again, courtesy of the support from our government and our financials, development financial institutions. I must say that as we speak today, we are working with World Bank, as I mentioned a little earlier, to try to improve on this weighted average maturity. So they're giving us a guarantee of around 300 million to kind of restructure some of our debts. And the objective here is to give it a slightly of a longer tenor, because some of our debt are a bit of short, they're kind of short-ended, and also be able to see if we can reduce our cost of funding as we bring in the AAA backing of World Bank behind our debt. And that's just a bit, so we are working on that, and the financiers in the room know that they have been working very hard and sharpening their pens so that they give us something that can help us and improve the bottom line for the investors. Funding currency mix, much of our debt is on dollar. Foreign currency, Kenya shilling is 9.8%, the rest are foreign. So the next question that goes through your mind, forex risk. Forex risk. That's the question you're asking yourself. I've dealt with the interest rate. I know now you're wondering about the forex risks. The forex risks, our power purchase agreement, again, is hedged, and any forex fluctuation is a pass-through to me and you. It were hedged against that. So we don't have that exposure. So even though over 90% of our debt is denominated in forex, at the time of signing the power purchase agreement, we fix the exchange rate. And that's not only KenGen, that's even other players in the energy sector. And any forex fluctuation above the PPF exchange rate is passed on, and it's part of our revenue that we have shown. Now, in terms of moving forward, we have got commitment from all these financiers together with our local partners. We are working with JICA, as I've said. They are funding Olkaria 5 with us solely. And we're getting extremely wonderful terms. KfW, we're working on several projects. The French FD, we are working on different projects. KfW, we are working with them, and European Investment Bank, they're jointly working with JICA on Olkaria 1 Unit 6. We want to thank them, and I've said the World Bank. And we're also working with Africa Development Bank in terms of looking how we are currently doing a study to explore the asset-backed security, asset monetization area. It's kind of innovating financing realm, and we are doing some study sponsored by African Development Bank just to see opportunities there moving forward. So these are commitments that we have. So most of our projects that are ahead are completely planned for, and funding is ready. Again, you'll ask me, you're going to take so much debt. As you all know, our power purchase agreement is cost plus margin. So all our cost of the power plant plus all the borrowing costs, including the interest, is added into the PPA, and then we get a margin, which is what comes to shareholders, which is 12.5% after tax. So we are not exposed to that extent, provided our balance sheet is able to meet the requirements. But again, I must say, we are also thinking outside the box. So a bit of corporate debt, but we are also looking, and again, you must have seen as investors, recently we are looking at off-balance sheet projects, and we are doing modular. We are trying leasing, and it's out there. We are in the procuring process, and we're also looking at what's called vendor financing. We are doing a BOT project, which again is out there, and those are to just relieve the pressure on the balance sheet and maintain the headroom in the balance sheet, so that where we have, like, for example, the renewable energies that attract concessionary funding, we can leave that headroom, and anything that can be done outside is done. We're also working with the PPP unit, public-private partnership unit of the Treasury, to again do a project. So all those are innovative financing that we're currently undertaking outside the corporate balance sheet financing. Now, the elephant in the room, I think we need, this thing could have had the title dividend. We chose not to call it dividend. Again, we like to be honest. As I was thinking about this, I remembered my grandmother. She's rested in 2010. Old, never went to any business school, but a very wise lady. When she did the harvest, me and my brother's grandchildren, we like the better seed, the cob that's big. We like roasting. But my grandmother always looked for those cobs and kept them near the fireplace, because she needed them for seeds for the next planting season. We didn't like it because the better maize, better to roast, was never roasted. But my grandmother, in her wisdom, in the school of business that she learned from the kitchen and from her grandmother, she decided to keep the best for the next season. So what we've decided is not to give you and to give ourselves, because we're all investors, 20 cents or 30 cents or 50 cents, but to keep it. But we are saying, what's happening to a company? Those who invested during the rights issue, they paid 6 shillings and 55 cents. As we speak today, KenGen share has been at 9.5. Those who are wise enough to sell at 9.5, those who are a bit more speculative, the weighted is a bit down. But the last, you are still around above 2 shillings again, which is 34% again. So which one is better? A 50 cents or a growth in the value of the share? Those who started a lot earlier in the year, they have got 52% increase in their share. And my schoolmate, Moy here was my schoolmate. We went to school, so that's why we're able to speak in this forum. He's aware. He's managing an investment firm. So that we are creating value for tomorrow. And because we have these good partners that at the moment are ready to support us and give us funding to put projects, we are hitting the iron when it is still hot and building value for you tomorrow. Thank you.